everyone. Scott Hansen here from NFL Red Zone. I hope you're checking out 1 hour of 5 Yard Rush, one of the best podcasts on NFL football in the UK.
What is happening, Rush Nation? We are back. We are back in Elon's bad books again. He has banned us from the X machine for it worked for what, like 2 weeks? It's absolutely ridiculous. Elon,
we're not right wing, so that's why.
No, we're not.
That's
it. We're not. Honestly, X is so bad now. Like, it's so bad. I can't go on it anymore. Like, I log on and it's just all the usual like right wing nonsense, and it's like, yeah, I can't get there. So I'm just like, I'm out. So yeah, Elon has put us in purgatory yet again. So unfortunately, you can't watch this on X. I will do the usual appeals. It'll take me another 3 weeks, but that's irrelevant. Subscribe on YouTube. It's easier to find us on there. So give us a like and subscribe. Sorry for no content last week. Yeah, it's been a rough few weeks, but we're here and we're in November and we're getting to the witching hour of the fantasy season, where very much a case of playoff spots can turn into non-playoff spots and non-playoff spots can turn into playoff spots, and it's just about being diligent here. And we're going to answer as many questions as we can tonight, but we're going to share a lot of interesting tidbits as well. But as always, I'm joined by Danny. Danny, how are you doing? How is the Emerald Isle? How are things over there at the moment?
Yeah, not too bad. Just ticking along and trying to get ready to try and close out some of these leagues to make sure they get in the playoffs. Really. Yeah,
it's been a strange season. I'm half interested in doing I always like doing the post-mortem on the season, right, and seeing like what we did well, what we didn't do well. And I've got a lot of teams that are like hovering at just above 500, just below 500. I've got more teams that are storming it than not storming it, but the majority of my teams are, between 4 and 6 wins. Like, that's over half of my teams are in that sort of range.
Mine are quite like that as well,
which is exciting, right? Because it's really like, this is the part where you make your money and you get through, and you're going to get to the point now where you're going to make those key decisions. But the injuries are piling up. We've got a lot of circumstances going on in the league. Quarterback play is getting equally trickier and diminishing by the day, with all the injuries going on there. We'll talk a little bit about that. We should probably start by kicking off with, it's not really fantasy news, but the sad news about Marshawn Loveland, who passed away last night. Defensive tackle, second round pick out of last year for the Cowboys, who scored a touchdown ironically on Monday night. It appears he has taken his own life, although these reports seem to be from reasonably verifiable, reputable outlets, but we don't entirely know everything. But really, really sad set of circumstances for a 24-year-old to be going through that. So thoughts to Cowboys fans and everybody out there. It's a sad piece of news. And again, we've said this on the show quite a few times. We've even done entire episodes where we've talked about the need of speaking up and speaking to people. Please do, if you ever get to the point where you just you get to that overwhelming point, open up to someone. It could be anybody, it can be us, could be anyone, right? Just find someone to talk to and do that. It's really important that you do, because we're losing far too many good people from this planet who aren't getting the support they need. So don't like starting shows like that, but it's an important message that we do. We've also had the trade deadline this week, Danny. What did you think of the trade deadline? I've always been one of these, like, nothing ever really gets done. I think we talked about it on here.
It started off like it was going to be a busy day, and I was thinking, it'd be nice to come on here and just laugh at you and say, because you're always going on about, but then it just sort of died to death quite quickly in the day. There was like 2 or 3 decent sized ones, and then not much else after that. And also they're more like, some of them are fantasy relevant. They're not necessarily what you'd call big trades, but they have impact for fantasy, likes of what's her name, Shaheed, and what's her name, Jacoby Myers, but they're not exactly needle pushers, as you would say. So yeah, not that over, bit underwhelming overall, but there was a couple of big ones.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, right? I'm kind of at this point where I'm looking at each of these. So let's do this in two parts. Let's talk about the big trades, the Jets just shipping everybody off their roster. I don't get it. The Jets fans, some of them are going out there saying like, well, we've done really well. We've got this haul of picks. I'm pretty sure when the Jets had this haul of picks in 2022, where they took Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner, that this was going to be the start of something. And, it wasn't ultimately. And I just think that you've got Sauce Gardner's a top 3 corner in the league. He's an two-time All-Pro. You're not drafting anybody as good as him. The best you're going to do is getting someone as good, which is going to cost you one of your picks. So you've netted 1 pick.
Yeah.
And
I just wonder,
AD Mitchell.
I wonder whether there's stuff going on behind the scenes as well, and because he didn't seem like he was happy there, and he hadn't played well recently.
He just signed the contract.
Yeah,
you've got him wrapped up till 2031. Like, it doesn't like.
Something must have happened now. It feels like, I don't think it can't be just the offer was that good. Like, it was a decent offer, but it wasn't amazing. Like,
well, I think it's a good offer. Like, corners don't go for like Jamal Adams. I think went for. He's not a corner; he's a safety, but he went for 3. I think. But you don't get trades that big. Like, yeah. I think it's as strong as you're going to get. If I'm the Jets, right, you've paid him. Right, you've paid him. If you weren't going to pay him, if this was a year ago, he's coming to the end of his contract, and you're like, I'm not going to pay him, then I'm all about it. But then I don't think you get the 2 first. But you've paid him.
Yeah.
So you've gone into the season, you've decided that this is going to be your corner for the next 5 years. And then 4 months later, 5 months later, you've booted him.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's such a bad message to the team.
The only thing I was wondering was whether they were going to, instead of waiting for the draft, they were potentially going to use these picks to get themselves a quarterback or something, because they badly need one.
But we talked about this on the last time we spoke, that the quarterback class it's okay.
No, but I'm not talking about from the rookies.
I'm trying to trade for one now.
No, like, I don't know. They could, like, there's definitely going to be players available, isn't there? Whether they're good enough is another matter. Like they could go pick Kyler Murray up or somebody like that.
Oh, dude, that's the worst thing you could do. Like, if the quarterback's going to be good, like, for me now you've sold all those pieces.
Yeah,
you actually don't need a quarterback. You actually don't need one. Because you're so far away from winning.
Yeah.
The quarterback's the last piece. That's the piece you get when you've got the foundations, and then you bring the quarterback in.
Yeah.
You're better off signing Tyrod to a 2-year deal. And just say, right, Tyrod, you're going to start for 2 years. It's not going to be pretty. Tyrod Taylor, or you could get Jacoby Brissett, or you could go get someone like that. Right? No one that's particularly like going to pull up trees. But someone that's a good role model, is a good locker room guy, who's going to fight, who's not going to win you like division titles, but he's not going to cost you wins. Is someone who's going to come in.
Zach Wilson.
I mean, I just don't understand it. You trade Quinn and Williams, you rip up the team. And like, if they traded Breece Hall, I'd have got that. Like, that's the one I would have got. I would have gone, yeah. He's getting on a bit. He's full of it.
About him today. He's apparently saying he's suffering from depression and he might not be able to play at the weekend.
I mean, I don't like his antics in
No.
he performed, and I just look at the Jets and I just think a lot needs to happen on that team for it to turn around. And
who's worse, the Giants or the Jets?
Well,
because I know you love the coaching staff at the Giants as well.
Well, but I don't mind the ball. He just doesn't stick to a plan.
Yeah.
He changes it. I think the only thing that's different is the Giants have got people in the building that have won.
Yeah.
They've won Super Bowls. There are people in that building, ownership, who know what it takes. There aren't many, but there were a few.
Yeah.
There's no one in the Jets organization that knows how to win. And the owner, and I would take John Mara over Woody Johnson any day of the week, twice on Sunday. I don't think Mara is a phenomenal owner. I think he's all right, but I'd have him over Woody Johnson. Woody Johnson's just a lost cause.
Isn't it 15 years since they made the playoffs, and the second team behind them was only 7 years ago?
Yeah, it's bad. We have had a question come in the chat. Thank you, Alex. Hey guys, this is my team for week 10. What do you think? May, Cook, Judkins, JSM, right.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Roma Dunzane in the benches, JCM, Hendy. I'm taking this as like an 8-team, maybe a 10-team. Yeah, 10-team. There you go. I hadn't read the last bit. First of all,
it's a good week for Wandale as well, and he's on the bench there. I don't know. The rest of the team looks pretty good though.
Yeah, I'd probably be playing Wandale over probably over Roma Dunze this week, maybe. I like the rest of that. I think you're in good spots there. I imagine
Cook's not fully fit though, is he? Maybe he'll go, I think, but James Cook, I don't know if he's going to get full reps though, because
he'll be all right. James Cook, he's all right.
But
there is a thing there.
Yeah.
First time playing fantasy, where you're knocking it out of the park. Come play some of our listener leagues, and mate, you're in a good spot. There's not much you can really do with that team. I would say the one thing I'd look at this team and think like you're in a good spot. You're going to make the playoffs with that team. Be surprised if you didn't, right? But I think what I would be looking for now is I'm looking at the bench. You got JCM, you got Hendy, which that's an interesting situation. What happens in the next couple of weeks with him? Caleb, he's your bye week cover for May, and then he can dunzo out of there. Jennings, yeah, I don't know where we're going to go with Jennings. Woody and Wandai, like I kind of feel like you are lacking. I wouldn't drop JCM. He's just put in the chat. I might drop JCM. He's the one I wouldn't drop. I would be tempted at this point. So I look at a team like that and I think that bench is decent, but it lacks what you want. Where a team like this would lose in the playoffs is those waiver wire ads. That running back that usurps up into an elite position, like a Gainwell, a Montang guy. Those kind of players are the ones who can really usurp up those premium handcuffs. Brian Robinson Jr. These are the sorts of players.
Blake
Corum. If something was to happen to the lead back, those are the players that I think you need to have a couple of them on your bench for two things. One, because they'll improve your bench and they'll improve your side if they get the opportunity. But two, and with a team like this, my biggest worry is I don't want anyone else getting them. I don't want. So he's put. I might go for Hunter. I wouldn't go for Hunter. I'd go for Corum. And then I look at the
saying Hunter because he's only got one tight end.
Oh, Hunter Henry. I don't think. Yeah. I mean, McBride's had his bye. You don't need another tight end. You got McBride.
I'd be looking at, to be honest, if that was me and I was looking at that bench, I'd be thinking which ones could I combine to maybe upgrade on one, get one better player and then you're freeing up a space, as you're saying, to get maybe another running back as well. So could he package a couple of them up together, send off for somebody?
He put Travis Hunter. I wouldn't go for Travis Hunter. I think
he's not playing the end of the season. I don't think, is he?
I think he'll come back, but I think it'll be the fantasy playoffs, and then I think he'll just be too rusty. I look at that. I think if I'm looking at that team, the players who I have question marks about is Henderson. I don't think that big role is there. With Stevenson around, Jennings is a question mark. But then you do, and especially if you've got Wandale there, all your receivers, I believe, have had their buys. So JSN's had his buy, Booker's had his buy, Roman Dunze's had his buy, Wandale.
No,
Okay, so he's the only one who's not had a buy, right? So you're going to have 3 wide receivers the rest of the season, barring an injury, and all 3 of them are the wide receiver ones on their team for the foreseeable future. Yeah, I'd find that hard to. And then you got Wandale, who's also a wide receiver one. You got 1 week without him. I don't think you need another receiver, and I think the receiver pool is going to be quite deep when you need to dip into it if you do need to. So I'd be getting rid of Jennings. I'd get rid of Williams when he says I have Corum on the bench. Okay. Well, yeah, well then that's a good place to be. I would add 2 more. I just think at this point in the season we'd talk about this is if I'm heading to the playoffs, I've got a 6-3 team, I'm loaded. Most of my teams had the bye like your team has. I'm probably just loading those running backs because they're the ones that are going to hurt you in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, then you're in good shape. But if it does, they're the ones that ruin leagues. I mean, how many times has running back X come off the waiver wire in week 13, 14 and has won a fantasy championship? Like, it just happens. And it happens so frequently that it just... I mean, I've won leagues for years doing that. I've lost leagues where I've run out of fab, and in week 17, and a major Chuba Hubbard cost me a King's Classic belt because he was available in week 17, and he was the starter for that 1 week, and he went off and ran like 26 points, and that was
the
it.
only thing I would say, Murph, looking at that team, okay, and obviously, yeah, you want some backups that if someone gets injured, but it's not very depth. There's not a huge amount of depth at running back to start today. So if Cook, say for example, Cook didn't start, you've got Judkins, and then you're scratching your head thinking, who do I start with him? And then just wondering if you could say likes of Jennings and I don't know, one of those like Jennings and Henderson or something. If you could package them together and try and get someone who's like a 16 to a 20 running back, like a Jalen Warren or someone like that, or Dobbins, or someone in that where they're not the ones that people might be willing to let go to strengthen.
Travis Etienne would be the one for me.
Yeah, someone like that. Yeah, someone just so that if one of those 2 main running backs went, you've got straight away without relying on an injury, you've got someone to go straight in. Because that's the only gap I can see.
And I think Woody Marks would start, and
he's what I'm saying is in a
role with where they've got a change at quarterback. So I think it's an interesting point, and I think if you can still try and package out. If someone is a Henderson truther, then that's one you could package out, and as you say with a Jennings, Caleb, I'd trade out Caleb, because Drake May's bye is in week 14, right? He's in week 14, so if you're already in the playoffs by week 14, you win the next 3. Then you're 9-3. You're going to be in the playoffs. You're probably going to have a bye secured with 9-3.
Yeah, you've got Caleb Williams as a number 9 this week in the rankings.
Yeah, and I think he's a top 10 option. So I'm looking at he would probably start for a team in that league.
Yeah, go in and have a look what everyone else has got.
Go and see the person who's starting a Sam Darnold, or is starting a Jordan Love. Is starting someone who's a bit lower end. A Trevor Lawrence, and say, listen, I've got Caleb. Caleb's on fire.
Yeah,
let me trade you Caleb Williams because there isn't a lot of value to having him on your bench. He's not going to do he's going to play 1 week for you. You're starting Drake May every week.
Yeah,
so you might as well get some value out of him. I wouldn't drop him because I wouldn't want someone to get him
straight away. Yeah,
that's it. I wouldn't want someone to have him for free.
You could also punt and just use the news. Like I was saying about Breece Hall before, you could go and try and trade for Breece Hall and just and sell it as, oh, it's very dodgy with him at the moment. He's saying he's depressed and he might not be playing, but I'll give you Caleb Williams for him.
Yeah, there's a lot of options out there. We can definitely, think outside the box. There's a lot of strategy there that you can take, and I hope we've answered some questions, Alex. Do give us a like and subscribe. Do join in, and hopefully we'll see you again in the comments. Let us know how you're getting on later on in the season. As we get into, we'll talk about the trade deadline. So, we had a few relevant trades. We've talked about the Jets. I wanted to touch a little bit on the trades that basically there's 3 fantasy relevant trades that came in on the deadline. And I just want you to give a little bit of thoughts to the output on this. And I'll start with the one that's the most interesting, which is Rashid Shaheed. So I look at Rashid Shaheed's trade, and I think it's really interesting that the Seahawks nice to see you, man. Thanks for joining in. Easy, you got your question. We'll get to it in a second. So in terms of Shaheed, I think it's interesting that the Seahawks have come in and strengthened. That I wasn't expecting it, and I think this trade makes a lot of sense for them. It's not a lot, and it's going to be interesting. I think all the people that were sitting there going, it's Torrey Horton season. This spells a couple of things to me. One, that Kupp is probably done. Even though they're very, very different players, right? I just think they have seen this season that they want to go a little bit more vertical, that they want to have, and JSN's been phenomenal, and he has got over the top, but he's not the ultimate field stretcher. Horton's not a field stretcher. Kupp's not a field stretcher. JSN has been, but I think you need someone down there. And I think that is where Shaheed is going to bring a lot of value to this team. He's going to stretch the field. He's going to keep cornerbacks honest. He's going to keep them deep. That's going to help JSN, but I would expect JSN's target share to go down as a result. Now, I don't think it's a bad thing. I still think JSN's a top 3 player the rest of the season. I'm not spelling doom for JSN here. But I do think that they're going to throw the ball deep, and they're going to try and get it to Shaheed. Because I think they're going to look at him and go, he's got the pace, he's got the speed. And they want to use that to set up the intermediate plays to JSN. So if you think about utilization, if I throw deep once, I throw deep a second time, you're keeping the defense honest. You're keeping those safeties back. And they're thinking, oh, well, we've defended this a couple of times. We've got to be cautious. And then all of a sudden, you set up a scheme that looks like Shaheed's going to go deep. You run him deep. And then all of a sudden, JSN can cut across the middle. And where the safeties are playing back, he can get a big chunk 30-yard play. Yeah. And I think that's what they're trying to do. They're playing to their strengths. And Shaheed will be valuable to that. But I do think Shaheed's going to get volume. I don't think he's going to get huge volume, but I think he's going to get volume. And we've seen it with him in the past. He only needs 3 or 4 catches to be fantasy relevant. He doesn't need 10 targets. He needs 6, 7.
Before he got injured last season, especially, that's exactly what he was doing. I had him in Scottish Bowl, and he was getting loads of points at the start, and then he got injured, and that was it.
Yeah. I mean, he was very much, the scoring was set up for Rashid Shaheed in that format last year. But Rashid Shaheed is someone who I think has got a lot of talent, has got a lot of ability. And I think he's someone who will really improve that team. The loser on that is Torrey Horton, because they're not a big passing volume team. They like to run the ball. They've got 2 very capable running backs. So I'm looking at where those targets are going to come from. I think JSN will lose a couple, but not loads, and I don't think it's going to impact him that badly. But I think Horton and I think the tight ends are going to lose some, and I think they're going to pass them to Shaheed. I think Shaheed is a wide receiver 3-ish play rest of the season. At 36 to 40 range feels like where I'd put him. So not a huge uplift on where he was in New Orleans, but he's got a better quarterback and a better system. So I like that move, and I think it's something that's going to help. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking the biggest losers out of this are Kupp and Horton. And if you just spend fab money on Horton, I'm not going to say definitively 100% you've lost that investment, but I wouldn't feel good about it right Do you think differently? Like, do you think that is plausible? What I've talked about, that kind of makes sense?
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it feels like they've actually Seattle all of a sudden have a bit of a plan, whereas they've shipped out a lot of guys and they're building that nice young attacking team as well. But yeah, no, it makes plenty of sense to me. Because that was going to be one of my questions. Because talking about Scott Fishbowl, I have Shaheed and Jacoby Myers. And then all of a sudden, they're both landed in different slots, and I'm trying to figure out, are they better off for it or worse off for it? So obviously, fantasy is one thing, and then obviously in real life, it's a good move for him for sure. I just wasn't sure because of the fact that obviously he's playing for a better team, but there's better players around him as well, of whether he would stay at the level that he's at from a fantasy point of view, or whether he'd be up or down.
I think he's a wash. I think he's about where he was, but
Yeah.
I think
he's got upside.
But the upside is the difference, right? So I think he's got that. He's got a 100-yard game in him, right?
Yeah.
And he's in a system now that will facilitate that. I don't think that was going to happen in New Orleans this year. So I think he's a wash with where he will probably finish. It would be very similar, but I think he's got that upside to do better. I think that's good. We get to Jacoby Myers. Scheme fit works brilliantly, right? Trevor Lawrence loves a slot receiver. They didn't really have a slot receiver coming into the season. I did find it strange when they took Travis Hunter. It felt like they were trying to fit pieces into this offense that didn't quite go with him. Yeah. And I think that's what we saw at the start of the season. And credit to Liam Cohen, because he's a great coach and he's getting W's out of that team. But they don't look right offensively. They will next season, I'm sure, but Brian Thomas Jr. hasn't quite clicked. We've talked about him at nauseum on this channel. Yeah. Travis Hunter had that big game and then he's kind of like blown out. I still am convinced that was a marketing play. But now we're in a situation where there's no Hunter. Brian Thomas Jr. is questionable. I think he could go.
Strange is still injured as well on IR.
Yeah, Strange is on IR. So Trevor Lawrence has always liked the player underneath. I think Jamal Agnew was there for a couple of seasons, and he would always pop up with these absolutely like random, like fantasy relevant games from the slot. And the same with his name's just totally escaped me, but they had another one who went to the Bills. Totally escaped me. Just had a mind blank. Same, but similar sort of style. A player that's gone in, done something. Dammy Brown. Not Dammy Brown, because he's there now. I've forgotten it. But a slot receiver that's kind of just picked up nice amount of targets and then has gone to the Bills. And I feel like that's where Jacoby Myers will fill that role. Now, I talked about the Jags on the Discord that I'm worried about the passing volume. I don't think they're a big passing volume team. So, like, I think Parker Washington's probably the big winner at the moment. Dammy Brown got injured, concussion, I believe. So I'm looking at that and thinking there is a role for Jacoby Myers, but when everyone's fit, I just think he is narrowed down.
And not the only thing is that we're only concerned about now, aren't we? I suppose
now, rest of the season, I think he's narrowed down. I think he's a play, but I think he's a flex at best.
There was one thing I read somewhere which I didn't realize was apparently and you probably know this anyway, but the Jags wide receiver coach used to coach Jacoby Myers. So it's not like it's a complete fresh start. They already know each other a little bit, which might help.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Easy's got two comments here. Well, I'll segue these and I'll go back. First one is on the Dynasty League. I traded Malik Washington for Adonai Mitchell. I'm going to talk about Adonai Mitchell. I don't hate it. I think that's fine. I'll get to AD Mitchell and what I think he's going to do. But I think the problem is we don't know what the Jets are next season. We don't know who the quarterback is. We don't know what they're going to do with this boat haul of picks. They could go and draft 3 wide receivers. Not they will, because they've got Garrett Wilson, but the Jets do crazy stuff. Like anything's on the table. And the Jets need a playmaker other than Garrett Wilson. But they need a lot of positions now. So they could neglect that entire room, and AD Mitchell could come out on draft night 2026 and be one of the big winners. And he's got what, 7 games now or 8 games
himself.
And the talent's there. He's flashed. Really polarizing player. He could do something, but at the same point, he might not. But I quite like it because Malik Washington is a player I've talked about a lot this season. He's in a situation in Miami which is just, he's not getting it done in a situation where there's no competition. And then part of that is the offense is bad, and part of that is Dua's not great, and I don't think he's going to get another chance. So I don't mind that trade because you're trading for something that could be something. But in all reality, both of these players could be nothing, right? But at least Mitchell, there's a pathway to something. It's going to take a lot to get there, but I don't think there's a pathway for Malik Washington to be anything in fantasy football. This season, he'll do something short term. He'll be a borderline flex play for a few weeks, and that'll be it. He's also talked about Zay Flowers for Swift straight up in a redraft league. Yeah, I'd do that. I'd snap it.
Well, as long as he's got some cover in running back, but I'd be doing that as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't think twice. If you've got the cover at running back, I'd be doing that trade.
The fixtures for Baltimore are just that good as well. Like, he could end up hammering it the next few weeks.
And they have to win. They can't. They have to win games.
Yeah, if you've got the depth, I would be smashing that.
Yeah, and Swift is, Manungai came out of the blocks last week and smashed it. Swift is questionable, might not play this week. If he does he get to keep his job? We don't really know. It's interesting. It's an ambiguous situation that could go any which way. So he's like, I have Saquon and Dowd, or fear is Swift's playoff schedule is not great. His schedule isn't amazing, but I don't even think it's that. I just think at that point he might not even be in a role. Like at this point, he might be the second running back on that team. I do think you're probably going to need another running back, though. That's my only thought is if Saquon hasn't really fired, if they put him on a shelf for the playoffs, because the worry I have with Saquon now, like someone who's got a bit of Saquon this year, the Eagles have won the division. We're at week 10, and the Eagles have won their division. I know it's not official. We can't hand them caps and T-shirts, but they're 3 games clear. Washington aren't catching them. The Giants aren't catching them, and the Cowboys aren't catching them. So, like, they've won their division. So they're going to be a top 4 seed. They're currently the 1 seed. If they get the 1 seed with 2 games to go, playing in the worst division in football right now, Saquon could go on the shelf for the fantasy playoffs. Like, that's a real thing. And so the fear that trade is, Swift's playoff schedule is poor. Saquon might not feature. They might just say, go on the shelf, man. We need you after wildcard week. It's a possibility. And so I would be concerned. I still would do the trade, but I think you've got to try and I'd do another trade and get another running back in.
Yeah, it's a good deal on its own. It really depends on what's the rest of the team. What are the wide receivers has he actually got in his team as well?
Yeah.
But on just individually, it's a good trade. But I would be looking for at least another running back as well.
Yeah, if that's all you've got left. I think
like you do have, looking at Flowers, you have Flowers rest of the season as 16. So like that, and that's overall. So pretty good.
Trade N10 plus Tet for Henry, Warren, and Sutton.
I know what your answer is to that one already, based on who's in that.
My RB2s are Tracy and Walker.
As long as that's Derrick Henry, you'd be taking that all day long. I think if it's redraft.
Well, you say that, yeah. I mean, I don't.
You're not a massive Tet fan, though, are you?
I'm not a huge. Well, he's selling Tet, so he's selling Tet. So he's selling Tet for Sutton.
Yeah,
which I think is an upgrade. and you're getting Henry for Achan.
Yeah, and Warren. So I'd be
And
taking
Warren.
Henry.
So I don't know what I mean, it depends which Warren. Is that Tyler Warren or Jalen Warren?
I presume it's Jalen Warren, but yeah, it could be Tyler.
I mean, if it's Jalen Warren, I'd probably.
I would take it if it was either of them, to be honest.
Well, the problem with that is it's Jalen more. I mean, that changes my thinking a little bit. Hey, what's happening, Vincey? This is such an interesting trade because you get the depth, which is great, but Achan is the best player in the trade. So, and I get, like, he's saying his RB2s are Tracy and Walker, who are kind of just plodding along here. So at least you've got a bit of depth here, which helps. So you're basically going to trade Achan. You're going to get yourself 2 starters for 1, is where he's thinking. And then he's going to upgrade the wide receiver. I would do that. I would do that.
Like this week, obviously you'll have Achan higher, but looking at your rest of the season rankings, you actually have at the moment you have Achan at 10, but you actually have Derrick Henry at 8.
I mean, I haven't done them for this week, but I would do that trade. I would do it because especially let's say that Achan drops off a little bit, right? Or let's say Achan is a bit clear of Henry, right? Let's say that the rest of the season trend continues the way it has done so far. You lose a little bit Achan to Henry, but not a lot. The gap from Warren to Tracy and Walker is huge. And then you're upgrading Sutton to Tep. Yeah, I'd do that trade.
The other thing to bear in mind on that one as well is that Henry and Warren have both had their bye weeks as well.
Vince agrees. Vince agrees. Vince's a smart dude. So if Vince agrees, I'm more convinced now.
They've had the bye weeks as well, Murf. So like they're both Baltimore and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so they're out of the way. Well. Yeah. So that's a big one as well. And as Vince says, if Tua gets shut down, I'm not so sure that Tua gets shut down. Could he get injured? Yeah, it's always a possibility with Tua, but I don't think he gets shut down because I think Mike McDaniels is playing for his career.
Miami's bye weeks in week 12 as well, so that's coming up in a couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, you get 2 weeks out of it, so that helps. Flex PPR, Trey Tucker or Kincaid. I'm smashing Kincaid. I don't want any part of the Raiders. I have Trey Tucker as a wide receiver 3 this week, flip fringe, maybe 36-ish. Kincaid I have at like tight end 7. But yeah, I'd be all over Kincaid. I think Trey Tucker could, like, we don't know what the world looks like in Las Vegas. All we know is their receivers aren't going to get 20 plus points.
Yeah.
So so a good week for Trey Tucker here is like 14, 15 points. That's a good week. But his range of outcomes is 2 to 15. It's literally like that wide. Kincaid has got a range of like 8 to 18. So I'd take the floor with a little bit of. So I think Kincaid's got the better floor. He's got a better upside. So yeah. I'd probably be doing Kincaid this week, and I wouldn't think twice.
Yeah, and I had Kincaid in the mid-season eliminator last week, and he did very well, tight end 3.
Yeah, Vince said that just play high-low on Trey, get shut down this week. Don't mind him moving forward. Yeah, I mean there is the matchup that's bad, but I just think that they could dink and dunk him, and that's really where I think he'll get some points this week. But yeah, I just don't want any part of. Like, you want to stay away from bad teams. That's ultimately it, right? You want to get off the teams that are bad, unless they're an elite talent like Achan. And Trey Tucker's not that. So I wouldn't want to be buying into that, leading into it. And hey, if he goes off on your bench, then happy days. Flip him for something. But yeah, stay away from that this week. We were talking about Jacoby Myers, thinking that he's going to be a difference in the slot. I don't think he's going to move the needle tons, but I think he'll get nice work. But I think it will be. I worry about sustainable long-term. Short-term volume, I think, will be fine next 2-3 weeks. But I think after that, as everyone gets healthy, they're a low passing volume offense. I'm not so sure. Adonai Mitchell is the one that I think for me is really the one that could be the best player with the best advancement come when we analyze these 2 years from now. We don't know what the Jets are going to be, right? We know that the quarterback play is shoddy. We know that this team they're the Jets, right? There isn't anything to go by. Adonai Mitchell is probably the most talented of these 3 wide receivers, which is going to alarm people. But I think when you look at his raw metrics and ability, he's probably the best receiver of the 3. The problem with him is he switches off. He's not great at blocking, and he does a lot of things that coaches really cannot stand. So if he gets on a bit of a run, he flashes, and you're like, oh, God, AD Mitchell, like he's got behind, he's had a 100-yard game, and then he'll do something completely boneheaded and get himself sat down for 2 games. And it's not attitude. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's not like he's a bad apple, right? He's not like someone who's throwing his toys out the pram and is going wild, but he just switches off. It's like I don't know if it's a concentration thing. I don't know if he's just struggling to pick up concepts. I genuinely don't know. And I'm not in the room, so I'm not even going to sit here and try and figure it out. I don't think it's a character thing, because if it was, he'd be gone. Like if he was a diva, like an Antonio Brown, like a like others, who we know can be divas, he's not earning enough touches to warrant an NFL contract. He's not a star player that's smashing it every single week. So you'd get rid. So
he's got quite a lot of competition as well, hasn't he, at the moment?
He's got competition. Yeah, exactly that. He'd be an easy player to cut. And I mean, I know they've traded him, but they traded him. Like, it's not like they cut him and got rid of him. So I look at AD Mitchell and think that there's a player there, but they just haven't got it to work. And so I'm sitting there thinking, if they can just... But the problem is he's gone to the Jets. And the Jets have shown over time that they don't develop players brilliantly. They have a few, and then they trade them. But I do worry about that with AD Mitchell. Like, I do think like it couldn't be a worse place to be for him. But I think he's got the best upside, and I think he's going to a team where there is enough all for competition that if he can basically get on a page with Tyrod Taylor, there could be something out of him this season. There could. But it'll be interesting to see how he reacts to the trade. Jason Ortiz, I'm 7-2. I got an offer. Jamar Chase, Hampton, Woody for Rico White. Is that Rashad White? And Harrison. The holdup is Woody for me because I already have Nico. Don't want 2 Texans. I mean, that's fair. I want Vidal in case Hampton is out for the year. Maybe it's 50-50 when Hampton comes back. Other options are JCM, Pacheco, Mason. Rashad White, he says.
He is saying he's 7-2 as well. So
yeah,
if you did think, like, is there buying 12? Is it week 12? So, like, is there a good chance he comes back after the bye, do you think?
There's been no news, and that's a really hard thing to project. I look at this team. Okay, so his team is Jones, Barkley, Javonte, Kyron, Tracy, Hampton, and then you got Chase, London, Nico, Sutton, Terry. This is if he was to accept it. Terry, and then Henry, and whoever I get from Woody, Vidal, JCM, Pacheco.
He's getting Jamar Chase at the end of the day as well, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you get the best player in the trade. I would plump for Vidal as your insurance, because if you can get Vidal with Hampton, you've got the starter regardless of what happens. I don't want Pacheco. I just don't. I like Woody. I think in a situation with Davis Mills, I think he could get a lot of the underneath work. I think he could be all right. because he's a good receiving back. I think that there's work there for him. I don't think he's sexy, but I think he's solid. JCM, I think the same. I think he's a solid player. Like, there's no real upside to that. So I'm looking at who you're giving up. And you're giving up, Rico Dowdle. It's not a bad time to give him up. I think his best days are gone. Rashad White, who's at best got one game left, I think. And Harrison, who, if you're getting chased, like, who's Harrison?
I'd be that deal all day long.
Yeah, I mean, I'd even take it as is. If you can get Vidal for Woody, and I get the concern, and lock up the Chargers starter, like, I'm kind of all right with that.
I think Hampton's worth the risk, to be honest, because he's got so much depth anyway.
You only need him for you're 7-2. You don't really. You need to get 1 or 2 wins until the playoffs, and then you're kind of in.
No, I agree. I'd go for that myself, definitely.
Yeah, I don't think giving up a lot. I think Dowdle, you might give up 1 or 2 games, but I don't think it's going to last. And also, Dowdle's fantasy schedule is fantasy playoff schedule is terrible. He's got the Bucks, I think, twice. Maybe one of them is week 18, actually. But you don't want him against the Bucks, like the best running defense in the NFL. Like, no thanks. So yeah, I'd probably be I'd be taking that deal, especially as Rashad White's got maybe a week left, and then he'd be behind Bucky Irving again, being fantasy irrelevant. So yeah, I'd smash that deal. Jason, give us a like and subscribe. Jason, stick around for the channel. So yeah, we talked about the trade deadline. We've covered. We've sorted out some rosters. Is there anything you wanted to cover, mate?
So now, what's your views on to the game tonight?
That's a good question. So I look at the game tonight. I mean, let's go through the totals, okay? So 9.5 points, Broncos versus the Raiders. Over under is 42.5. Okay. So I look at this game and I think I just don't want any part of the Raiders. I don't want any part. There isn't anyone. Brock Bowers, maybe. Ashton GT at a push. I think that's kind of all I really kind of want. Like, I don't think I definitely don't want to start. I definitely don't want to start. I don't want to start the quarterback. I don't want to start the wide receivers. Yeah. Bowers, you've got to after what you just saw last week, but even him, I think, could get locked up. GT's going to have a plod a day. He's going to be a running back 2. Maybe they hit him with the volume. And then so there's not a lot there to talk about, and I wouldn't start the kicker and I wouldn't start the defense. So I think Las Vegas is pretty simple, right? I think it's Bowers, it's Bowers, it's Bowers, it's GT, and it's maybe Tucker to push. I think I've got him at 36. I'll probably move him down a little bit. Low scoring game, and then I look at the Broncos, and again, low scoring team. Bo Nix will be on the fringes of QB1, rushing upside, always going to be fine. I think you're going to see Harvey and Dobbins split more, and I think both of them are going to be RB2 viable. But I don't think you're going to see a dominant performance from one over the other. I think they're both going to carry the water, and they're both going to get theirs, and they're going to be used a lot, right? It would not shock me if the Broncos run the ball 35 times in this game. Wouldn't shock me. So I think both could get their water and they'll be fine.
There was a question, and I don't know if you answered it or not, but there was a question in the Patreon WhatsApp group this afternoon. I think it was Matt who was asking around, would you start Dobbins or Jaylen Warren? And I think you had them ranked next to each other. And then he asked me what I thought. And the way I was looking at it was, I thought if you were playing for the safer option would be Warren, and Dobbins would potentially have that higher upside. But I wasn't sure. I'd almost
reverse the logic.
Yeah,
I'd actually almost reverse the logic. I actually think Dobbins has got the safer volume because I think they'll just run the ball out.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's got the upside.
Yeah, Matt was
unless he breaks up big runs, unless he gets like those huge 40, 50 yard runs. I don't see where he's up. Like, I think he'll have a nice afternoon or evening, but I don't see. I think he's got a nice safe floor, and I think he's got a very low ceiling. Jaylen Warren will probably have a lower floor, but he'll probably have a higher ceiling. It depends on how far they get ahead in their game.
Yeah.
And their game is a little bit more competitive against the Chargers. but there's potential for more points. And we know there aren't many playmakers on the Steelers. So I'd expect Jaylen Warren, if they get down in the goal line area, to be smashed a lot, and he could get in the box a few times. So it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, I'd say that Dobbins is probably the safer play, but I would say that Warren probably has the better upside.
Yeah, all right.
As for the wide receiver, I think Sutton could have a day tonight. He really could. But I think, I think Franklin will do okay. Probably, I think Marvin Mims is out. So you'd expect to see some volume going towards Franklin tonight because there is no Mims. So I think those two will do okay and they'll have good weeks. Will Lutz will have a good week. The DST is number one. I think you can start pretty much every position here if you've got a Bronco tonight in your roster, you're probably starting them, except the tight end, which I don't think anyone's got Adam Troutman out there unless they're absolutely desperate. Or Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram is probably the only one. I'm a bit like, probably not. Everyone else, I'd fire up a Bronco tonight. I think this would be easy.
Just a couple of general questions around a couple of players that when I was looking through a few things today. Like, I've listened to a lot of content around JJ McCarthy in the off season, and then he got injured, and now he's on his way back. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on him at the moment.
So I was higher on JJ McCarthy when he came into the NFL than most. So I like JJ McCarthy, always have. I think he was an underrated quarterback. Man won a national title. Like, he got disrespected like he was a nobody. The guy won a national title in an undefeated season. Like, what does he have to do?
Yeah.
He played with good players, but he wasn't playing with the wide receiver core of Joe Burrow and LSU a few years ago, or the wide receiver core out of Ohio State. He had a decent receiving core, but it wasn't outstanding. It wasn't like the best we've ever seen in college. Like, I just think the man got heavily disrespected. I think he continues to get heavily disrespected. And maybe it's because of his athletic traits don't stack up with the view of a Trey Lance. But as you know by me, I don't give two sods. Yeah. Like, I don't. I care about three things when I look at a quarterback. I care about the mentality. I care about the character. And I care about their ability to throw the football. And the rest of it, I kind of think it will be what it will be.
Yeah.
And I think you see what a quarterback is over time. And you're going to get this wrong, like, quite a bit. Like, I didn't think Jackson Dart would be ready for the NFL this season. And I take the L on that because he has been... I still question whether he's going to be successful long-term. My concerns are still not quelled.
Yeah.
In the fact that he goes into Superman mode, he's a bit of a hero. He'll try and win games on his own, and that will be his detriment, and they'll need to coach that out of him. But in terms of what he's done so far, he's proven he's an NFL level quarterback and was rightfully picked to go in the first round. I don't have any qualms there anymore with that. But I look at players that are just fundamentally disrespected. Mac Jones was heavily disrespected. I still think he is. I still think Mac Jones is disrespected in the NFL. Like, if you said to me, you could choose between Mac Jones and Bryce Young, I'd have taken Mac Jones every day of the week, twice on Sundays, would still do it now. I don't know, no qualms. Yeah. He was unfortunate. He was on a bad Patriots team. He still took him to a playoffs, by the way. Like, people forget that Mac Jones was pretty good. Like, he's not incredible. Like, he's not going to win you. He's not going to win MVP, and he's not going to be a top 10 player at the position. He's a good quarterback. And I think the problem is with JJ McCarthy is he's not going to be a star. He's not going to be a top 5 NFL quarterback. And the problem is, because of that, he's deemed to be a little boring. I don't give a crap. Like, for me, I think he's a very, very good and capable quarterback on an offensive scheme that is going to suit him perfectly, with a coaching staff that is going to suit him perfectly. I think I talked about it in the offseason that I felt he was an undervalued dynasty asset.
Well, I've taken him in absolutely shed loads of him.
Yeah.
I've got hammered because I really thought him and Rock Purdy were really good value going in, and they got a lot of both of them, and then they both got injured so early in the season.
But injuries are one of those things, right? You can't really offset the injuries, but the rest of it is that JJ McCarthy for me is a top 12 fantasy quarterback.
Yeah,
I really believe that. I think he's on the cusp of that. Like, if someone offered me a trade right now, JJ McCarthy for Trevor Lawrence, I'll have that. Thanks very much.
Yeah, so would I. I'm done with Trevor Lawrence. I don't have much of him in the dynasty, but I took a few punts on him in redraft, and he's done absolutely nothing. Like, I'd be happy.
It's a tough place to be, but again, my evaluation for him going into next season probably won't be too different from what it was this season, because we're not going to have all the answers.
I'm even looking at him to even evaluate him next season. No. He's dead to me.
But I mean, that's the difference between you and I. I don't get emotionally attached. I don't care. Like, if a player's let me down, they let me down. It's fine.
No, but I mean, he's let me down because I know that I got it wrong. It's like, it's more me that I'm more than him. I suppose I'm annoyed.
But did you get it wrong?
To be honest, I just put the faith in the coach that he was going to come in and get more out of him.
What, JJ McCarthy?
No, sorry, Lawrence.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay, that was different.
That was my thinking. It wasn't really Lawrence. It was more, I thought the coach was going to come in. He'd done well with Baker Mayfield, that he might get him better. And obviously, you can only do so much if the player's not necessarily good enough.
But the problem with that is, there we go. Perfect time question. McCarthy versus the Ravens, Brisket versus the Seahawks, and Mariota versus the Lions.
McCarthy all day.
Oh my God, that ain't even a combo.
The Ravens can't defend at the moment either, so yeah.
Oh, smashing JJ.
Yeah, 100%.
The other two don't even enter the conversation for me. Like, the other two aren't starting in a redraft.
Yeah.
There is no redraft league in the world that I'm starting either of those players in a 1 QB redraft. None.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to start them in Superflex either.
I'd start Brissett against the Seahawks. I think Brissett's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's a top 20 quarterback, but he's the low end of that. And Mariota, he's that sort of 20-ish quarterback. But McCarthy's a top 12 upside quarterback. In this matchup, it's not one to fear. It'll be a shootout, if nothing else. So, yeah, I'm all for it. I'm a big fan of JJ McCarthy. I'm fine with him this season, fine with him next season. I'm not worried about it.
Another question I had for you was around this Arizona backfield that people keep thinking they've nailed it, and then they're thinking Knight's going to take over, and then it just doesn't happen. And then DeMarcado's in, and then Benson's probably back soon. It feels like it's just an avoid at the moment and wait till Benson's back and get Benson.
That's exactly what it is. I'm now out on that backfield.
Yeah.
I'm now out on it. I was in a league earlier, and I think I offered Bam Knight. It's a keeper league, and I offered Bam Knight out for trade for anyone that wanted a starter this week.
Yeah.
I was like, just crack on.
Yeah.
Someone give me the offer, I'll take him. I don't think anyone took me up on him, so I'm probably going to have to drop him, because I've got 6 running backs in this, and I'm only allowed 5. Right? So this is my running back core, and this is why, and I'll tell you why I'm bringing this up. I got Woody Marks, David Montgomery, Bam Knight. Then I've got Bucky Irving, Bradashar Tootin, and Jordan Mason.
It's definitely Bob Knight. Mason's not one to start at the moment, but at the same time, Aaron Jones tends to get injured a lot, so he would be pretty heavy then if something happened to Jones. Benson's back soon, so I would ship Knight out. You can't. Obviously, you've got to sit on Bucky till he comes back, and then all the others have got decent upside as well. If something happens, for me, definitely that one.
Yeah, and I think that's the only thing you can do, right? Is you just have to follow the path. I look at that, and I think it's exactly as you called it. They're kind of in a holding pattern. They might do some DeMarcado this week. Yeah. They still got Michael Carter. Everyone lost their crap because Michael Carter got benched, and it's like, he got cut and then he's been re-signed. It's like, clearly they knew he was coming back, and clearly they knew they were going to bring him up from the practice squad. It was just a way of getting extra practice weeks out of him and getting him on the roster without having to pay him and all that sort of stuff, right? So, it's really simple for me. I'm just kind of, I'm kind of out on Bam Knight. I'm kind of out on the whole Arizona backfield. I don't want any part of them. I just think, and do you know what? If one of them goes off for 15 fantasy points, great. Like, it is what it is. Yeah. But I think Benson, the fact that they're saying, "Oh, he's not practicing today," it's like it says, "Well, he's due back soon." So if he's not back this week, he'll be back next week.
Yeah. No.
So I'm all right with it. Like, I just think, I'm out of that backfield. I'd stay out of it. It's hard this week. There's 4 very good teams on bye. If you have to play someone, then sure, play Bam Knight. But I'd like to think you could probably find, like for me, you could have got Davin Singletary and he's someone that'll probably play over him.
Not for me, because I just religiously do it anyway. But if you haven't looked at your kickers and your your DSTs this week, which DSTs are you thinking that you could probably still get up off the waivers to help you get through the week?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I have a list of players, or I have a list of sort of lowly owned. So let me just pull up my notes here. Of lowly owned defenses, and
there's one that's jumped. Looking at your rankings for the week, there's a team straight away I'm seeing 4th on that list, and I'm thinking they'd be on quite a lot of waivers, which would be the Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, Panthers have a great matchup this week. So I look at the Panthers; they're on a bit of form of defensive. They've got the Saints this week. You got a quarterback there who's in his 2nd NFL start. It's not exactly like he's sitting there smashing life right now. And it's not like he's accustomed and sitting there. Like, I think you're in a good spot there with taking him or taking the DST there and being in a good spot. I think you're going to be fine. So I kind of look at that and think they're one that you can pick up. I imagine most people have got pretty savvy on that. Maybe they haven't. And maybe they haven't picked him up. And if
most of your top 10, I would imagine, are probably gone. Like, see your Broncos. Seattle, I was finding Seattle was available in quite a lot still, and you've got them 2nd this week. And I picked them up last week, and they did really well.
And again, they got playmakers. They're making plays. Fantasy quarterbacks or fantasy defenses isn't just about the how many points they concede. It's how many interceptions, how many sacks. That's kind of where they get their points from, right? So it's important that you kind of follow that trend, and keep an eye on that. So I look at them and think there's a good path to having Seattle, and their schedule the next few weeks is not a bad one to have. The others are sort of sit out there. The Jets against Cleveland are ones, they're 8% owned, and then they've got New England and Baltimore after that. So you probably only want 1 week of the Jets because they're doing quite badly. But I'd be targeting Dylan Gabriel, who's just crap. The Ravens, they've been dropped in a lot of leagues. Minnesota, Cleveland, and the Jets, the next 3 is a good run. And the Browns have got the Jets. So again, I'd be locking into the Browns. They're kind of the 3.
You still might find some Tampa because they were on a bye last week as well. I found Tampa surprisingly in a couple as well.
That'd be a tricky one against New England, though. I don't think it's a game that I would be. I'd be loving. I mean, you're talking about that over/unders 48.5. It's one of the higher ones of the week.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason I like the Panthers and the reason they're 4 is 1, they got the Saints, and you got a rookie quarterback in there who hasn't done anything. 2, you got the 2nd lowest over/under total of the week, behind the Jets and Browns, who have the lowest over/under of the week. So those positions are why those 3 teams are under significant consideration for me. Even the Saints, like in a desperation play, Panthers don't score points.
Yeah.
So you could do all right with the Saints as a desperation play, but yeah, so advice to anyone watching this, right? When you're looking at streaming defenses and you don't have time to sort of read loads of articles, listen to lots of podcasts, just pull up the over/under numbers and take the team that's a favorite in the lowest projected over under. That's singularly like the quickest 2-minute sheet you could ever do to anyone. So rule of thumb this week, over under 37.5. Browns are favorites. Technically Browns.
Well, you've got the Browns as DST3. So the other cheat code is go in the Discord and get them for nothing and pick up the rankings there, and you can see it'll take you 10 seconds.
Exactly that. Sorry. That's just rattling me.
But yeah, going through that, you have Broncos 1, Seahawks 2, Browns 3, Panthers 4, and Detroit Lions 5. They're the top 5. Most of them are probably gone. And even most of the other ones in there, like sort of the Rams, the Bills, the Patriots, they're all probably gone in most leagues. But then you do the Jags are 10th. So if you're struggling, the Jags could be one as well.
Yeah. So I'm looking at other games which I'd be sort of targeting. So I look at the rest of these. Jaguars, again, 37.5 point game. Yeah, and they're favourites in that. It's another reason with Davis Mills at quarterback.
Yeah.
Again, it's the logic. It's the logic behind that, right? There's no rocket science to it, right? If you're still chasing some desperation plays and you're still struggling, Seahawks against the Cardinals, as you mentioned, 6.5 point favorites, 45.5 over under. It's kind of next best after the 3 games we highlighted. There's a lot of 45.5 point games. So
looking at the fixtures, Murph, except for obviously the Bucks game, if you were watching one, which one would you want to watch this week?
There's a couple that stand out for me this week.
The reason I asked the question is I was listening to What's Name's podcast the other day, and I like the idea of what he does. Where they talk about, the split box in JJ Zacharyason's pod, where it's like, if you're programming it and picking the 4 games in the corners, which 4 game, and it just got me thinking about, looking at it from that point of view. If it's not your own team playing, who are you interested to watch?
So I would say 49ers Rams holds a lot of interest for me. That's a game I would easily plug into. Yeah, obviously Bucks Patriots, and I'm not just saying this as a Bucks fan. I actually, you look at the over/under totals. It's one of the closer games this week. It is almost
the Ravens game could be good. That could be a shootout.
Could be. That'd be interesting as well. Plus, I'm always quite happy to stick Cincy on. I know they won't buy this week, but Cincy always my normal team to stick on because you're guaranteed points.
That one tonight could be painful.
Yeah, but Colts Falcons, that interests me a bit. I mean, that's the international game in Germany. Which, speaking of which, a friend of mine reached out to me and he's got 2 tickets available. So he said, could I shout out someone? And he only wants a charitable donation for him. So if you want 2 tickets, hit me up or hit up us on X and then, we'll get to it from there and put you in touch.
I'd be divorced if I tried to go for that one, I think.
Yeah. But Bears Giants, I think, interests me. That's another game, I think, to see what's got. I don't think it's a bad slate of games. Yeah. Monday Night Football looks good this week with Packers and Eagles.
The 49ers against the Rams could be all right as well.
Yeah, that's my one. That's the game I kind of would have on outside of the Bucks and Patriots.
And if Daniel's back yet? Because I'm looking at them. Washington
this week.
Washington against the Lions.
He's got his he dislocated his elbow last week.
Oh shit! Yeah, sorry. What am I talking about? Yeah, it's been a long week. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's been a long week. So
it's been a busy week, that's for sure. The only, like kicker wise, it's just the usual suspects, really, isn't it? I've seen Boswell was available on quite a few, and you've got him as kicker 2 this week. Loop's available in quite a few I've seen as well. He's kicker 7. Santos kicker 9 from Chicago. A lot of the other ones are probably gone. Yeah,
absolutely. I think kickers definitely just keep looking through and keep picking them up and going from there.
Any players, what's name, that you think, like waivers went yesterday, any players that you're thinking you might see on people's waiver list still that you're thinking, they'd be worth one to throw on the bench? I suppose getting away from the running backs, because we know, like you would talk about having. Is there any from any other positions that you would think about?
I'll give you a list of people. These are players who I think are on waivers in the majority of redraft leagues that I would probably be tapping up. We've talked about Rashid Shaheed. Yeah. He would be one for me. Devin Singletary, again, if he was the big sort of waiver wire ad, he outsnapped Tracy. Be interesting to see if that was game script related, but he'd be one I'd be adding for intrigue. We talked a little bit about Arizona, and I said, stay away. But Demicado probably would be the one in a short-term flex over Bam Knight. Yeah. Would be the one I'd be looking at this week as a 1-week play. Obviously you've got...
what about Tez Johnson?
Yeah, this week's interesting because you've got Ibuka back. I know he sort of played before the bye, but I think it's fair to say he's probably up to full strength. I like Cade Otton this week. I think Cade Otton's in for a good week against the Patriots. I definitely think this is a matchup that I would really favor Cade Otton for as a one-off play. I think is one I would be looking to target him on. Tez Johnson potentially, but I think he's someone that is probably owned a bit more than, I don't say he should, but I'd be surprised if he's out there. Obviously, Luke Musgrave is going to be out there after what happened, but I don't expect the same usage as like Tucker Kraft got, and he's not going to get the same volume for sure.
What are you seeing at the moment with Washington? I know they're a bit of a dumpster fire at the moment, but McLaurin's out, and then Luke McCaffrey got done last week as well.
Yeah, he's on IR.
So you've got Debo, but after Debo, who are you looking at? Or are you not looking?
Yeah. I don't think you're going to see... I don't think you're going to see anything else out of them this year.
They might just run more.
Yeah, I think JCM could get an uptick, but the thing is, I don't think JCM's looked great.
He had one really good week, didn't he? And then he's been quite quiet.
Yeah, he has gone a bit quiet. I'll tell you who I would be scratching the itch of again. I would say Caleb Johnson. Keep an eye on Caleb Johnson. So he got his first touches, which was only 2 for a month on Sunday. But he looked good. Like, he got 2 rushes for 13 yards. And I think he showed a little bit of that promise that we've not seen. He obviously has not adapted well to the NFL. And then he had that disastrous play where he let it bounce, or he muffed it, and then it went for a touchdown. And confidence dribbled out of him faster than anything. And I would just say it would not shock me if Caleb Johnson became a thing in the fantasy playoffs. I'm not projecting it. I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen.
Yeah.
But he's one that if I just had a little, like Sleeper has like that little star feature. You just get a little star. You get a little, I'm going to keep an eye on him.
I've seen him dropped in some dynasty leagues as well. Yeah. Never mind redraft.
I think you will. I think you'll see him dropped in more and more leagues, in any sorts of leagues, and I think you're going to see that going forward.
What's his name? Demario Douglas had a decent week last week. Is that a one-off, or can you see that continuing?
He's not one I want part of. Darius Slayton's still going to be out there in a lot of leagues. He's one I would be sort of looking at a little bit.
Someone who I got based off an injury, thinking he's a 1-week punt, but has still put out some decent scoring, is Alec Pierce. Because I thought when I think Downs was out at the time, and I thought I'll get him in for the game, but then Downs has come back, but he's been getting more touches and more everything than Downs since Downs come back as well. I'm not saying that's going to continue, but if you need somebody, like, he's decent.
I question how fit Downs is. Yeah. I mean, but 13 targets last week is ridiculous. I don't think that's sustainable. I think he's a 5-target-a-week man. That's kind of where I have him.
He tends to get, when he gets targets, though, they tend to be quite far downfield. So if he catches a couple of those ones as well, like, I'm not saying he's going to do that every week, but like he's one to have it on the bench if you're really short.
Yeah, sure. He's one to keep an eye on. I think he's about owned in about half of leagues.
Yeah.
Adonai Mitchell owned in 5% of leagues, by the way. We talked about him.
Another one that's driving me mad, and I kept expecting more from him, and I picked him up in a few. He didn't cost much, but I've seen him play. When I was watching him play last year, he flashed in some games, Mooney, and he's done absolutely nothing all season. And Pitt seems to have
he's not fit.
Is that what it is?
He's not fit. Come end of the season, he could do something.
Yeah,
but he's not fit. He's been questionable like most weeks. So I'd take great pleasure in ripping him apart, but I can't. It's just he's not fit.
Yeah.
So I think I'm looking at it. It's pretty thin out there. You know, for me, it's keeping an eye on. Like, I'm looking at it'd be those running backs. Blake Corum, 15% owned. Isaiah Davis, 30% owned. You know, these players have to be owned.
Yeah, I've
more than that
in quite a few. Like, because these are all the players that in our Kings Classic that we're going to be trying to look at to fill our team at the moment. Because
no one out there, but that's a 14 team. It's even harder, right? It's you know, if we go into our Kings Classic Snake and we look at the waiver wire in there, and this gives you the context of, I'm not even going to mention quarterbacks. Quarterbacks is the only position where there is something, right? This is the list on Flex of available players. Kyle Williams, Jalen Naylor, Pat Freiermuth, Max Mayer, Josh Palmer, Jack Beach, Ray McLeod, Jatarian Sanders, Washington, the tight end, Jarrett Patterson, Daniel Bellinger.
It's bad. Yeah, because our auction team is fine. Like, you can take a couple of defeats in that, and we'll still should qualify, no problem. But
I'm probably going to take in that team, and I've just got it open. I'm probably going to drop Jeremy McNichols, and I'm probably going to add Tyler Lockett. And it's not for any other reason than it's Gino and Tyler Lockett. They know each other.
Yeah, and also
maybe
someone else picking him up as well.
Yeah, and I don't feel bad about losing Jeremy McNichols.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not projecting any great wonder here for Tyler Lockett, but I just think if anyone had to come out of that list and do something.
Yeah, can you filter that on anyone who's on a bye week, maybe, that we could that you could throw in for that we'd be ready for next week?
Yeah, so if we did it now. So I just do it by.
So just for I suppose for the guys that are listening now that have no clue what we're talking about, that Kings Classic that we drafted, like, I'm still very surprised that I'm in a draft with the likes of John Hansen from Fantasy Points, and then there's people from Roto, like, there's people from all kinds of different things, some very, very top drafters, and we are in our auction league that we did. We are currently, is it 7-2? Or was it 8-1? I can't remember.
We're 8-1.
8-1. So we're joint top with another team. 14 teams, and they're all like really experienced managers as well. Our other draft is the Snake Draft, which is the one you're talking about now. Not so good in that one. We're just right on that borderline of, we're just below the playoffs. We're 4-5, but we're only 1 win away. And that's why
we've lost a lot of players, right? So we had neighbors got injured, and so on players owned, Hollywood Brown is out there.
Okay.
Neighbors Hill, Connor, Caleb Johnson, aforementioned, Michael Carter, Najee Harris, Adam Thielen, Jalen Knoll, Juju, Trey Harris, Will Shipley.
It's not great, is it?
Then we're in the no ones.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper's out there, by the way. Tutu Atwell. Dante Thorman. Isaac Tesla.
It's such
Eddie Mitchell's out there, mate. Do you want to go now, Eddie?
The thing is, whoever we get's going to just be on the bench, I think, isn't it? They're not starting anyway.
I've just seen Dontavian Wicks is out there. That's interesting.
But yeah, it's such a tough draft. Like, you literally think of somebody and they're already gone because the people are so quick on it.
Yeah. Trevor Etienne?
Yeah, I think we'll just stay with what we've got for now.
Yeah, there isn't much in there. I think, to be honest, I'm quite happy with Tyler Lockett. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, all right, too though.
All right. I think that's going to do it, mate.
I'm done for questions. We've answered all the ones in the chat. Discord wise, I think that some of those questions I asked were things that had come up there. Let me just check if there was anything else. Don't think there is. No, that's it as far as I can see.
Brilliant. Well, everybody, thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Keep those coming. We'd really appreciate comments, likes, everything through the YouTube. And hit us up in the Discord. Week 10 is a pivotal week, and we've only got 5 weeks until the fantasy playoffs. So let's get set up. Let's get those teams rostered. Go and grab those running backs, the Blake Corums, the Isaiah Davises. Get them stashed on your rosters. If you want to check out our Patreon, we're doing a 7-day free trial. You'll get access to our book as well. But I'm going to drop a Patreon cast tomorrow with some advanced analytics stuff and going behind the scenes of some of the numbers and look at some opportunities for start sits and schedules and touches beyond the like. So you'll want to be plugged into that one. So you can go to patreon.com/5yard rush, subscribe for a 7-day free trial. You'll get access to the Patreon cast when it drops tomorrow, and you'll get access to our book and a load of other great content in there. Just search it, and you can just send a DM on there. What?
I said it's not much either. It's not like
£3. It's £3 a month, or $3.
And the money just goes into prizes and stuff like that.
That's what it does. I don't take a penny from it. It just keeps the lights on, and
it's made me a much better player. That's for sure. Like you start to question the actual data that you're looking at, and question other people and what they're thinking as well, based on the fact that you know a lot more behind the scenes of it, not just who scored the points, but why they scored them.
And trying to pick the trends before they happen, right? It's like stock market analysis. Who's on the rise before they're on the rise?
Yeah. Which I would do in other sports like fantasy football, FPL and stuff. That's exactly what I would. Or who's the one who's about to explode, not the one who's already done it.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to try and pick out tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Please do sign up for our FFCC 2026. We're so close to hitting a milestone there, looking to get a few £100 more for the end of the year. So give us a push on that. We will be doing a draw for that. Check out the NFL show that was on Tuesday night with Joel and the gang. A lot of fun, a lot of frolics over there. So make sure you go check those out. But until then, Rush Nation.
That was Trade Central, that one, I think, as well. They were laughing about
they were on the trade deadline. So make sure you go check that out. But until then, Rush Nation, we will be back next week. Until then, don't forget, as always, keep rushing.